Hello, good morning, friends. Welcome back to the services marketing journey. In the last video, I have told you about the 7 P's of services marketing, and one of the important concept that is service marketing triangle. Then, lastly, in the last video, we have seen the gaps. Right, that's gap 1, gap 2, gap 3, gap 4. We have just gone through the outline of that. Further, I said we will discuss in the further videos that we'll do it. In today's videos, we'll try to learn three important concepts. One is the search, experience, and credence properties of the services and the product. Then, second, we try to understand the zone of the tolerance. Then last May we'll have a look at the glimpses of how we can retain the customers. What are the strategies that we can adopt in a brief? Then we'll hope you all go through this slide. Spend some time on this. There are products. It has been the graph has been drawn based on easiness and the difficulty of evaluating the products or the services. That's what you can see in that graph. From left to right, when we go, it will become easy to difficult to evaluate. And below we have listed certain products and the services, and in between you can see the violet color is the intersection of those three things, right? So basically we can classify the products into, or the services into the products which are having the search properties, which are having the experience properties and the credence properties. We'll try to understand what is this all about, right? Search qualities. Basically, we'll come to first one. Search qualities. These are the attributes that customer can determine before purchasing a product. I think you understood this, right? Very, very, very easy to understand, right? These are the products or the products where we can, evaluate or we determine before purchase of the product. And the next one is the experience qualities, attributes that can be understood or evaluated only after the purchase or during the consumption. Right, we can evaluate this. We can evaluate this only after the purchase or during the process of purchase or during the process of consumption, where we can evaluate these products or the services. Okay. Then the last one is the most difficult one. That's what we see. We call them as credence, the properties. So this includes the characteristics that the customer may find it either impossible or very, very difficult to evaluate even after the purchase and consumption of the product, or product means it's both, right? Product and the services. Now let us try to find out. You can see some brackets there, flower buckets in between. Now we understood the the definitions. I'll just try to repeat this. Search, the qualities are those where the consumers can easily evaluate before we buy it. Experience qualities or the attributes are those which we can evaluate this after the purchase or might be during the purchase. Search qualities might be color of a product, right? Style, price, fit or feel, right? Hardness, smell, etc., 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 right? So all these are the search qualities of the products. But right, when products where you find such as automobiles, clothing, furniture, and jewelry are high in search qualities because their attributes can be almost completed determined, completely determined and evaluated before the purchase. That's why it's been listed there in the flower packet, where you can see in the first left hand side, easy to evaluate category, high in search attributes, clothing, right? I can aram say the evaluate which color I want, what is the color quality, what is the material quality, what is the price, so many things, right? Even you purchase a chair or motorbike or the foods, ready-made foods, this is right. So what we buy, maybe the food might some part might fall it there. Okay, we can evaluate the products like this on the different the period of that continuum. That's what you can see, right? So when we consider the services, right, so many of the services will fall in the credence qualities. Say for example, right, you have gone through the surgery, right? So that's very high in credence qualities, right? So if I have undergone the surgery, I'll not be able to know exactly if something that happens there after the surgery. Is it because of the surgery or something else? Normally, when you go to hospital and doctors, they they tell you the some other reasons. Not exactly. They may attribute that to the service failures or something really happens there in the service delivery process. Similarly, we go with any legal services, right? Or computer repair, where we will not be knowing anything much about the computers. So majority of the services, that's where we find in the they'll fall in the credence qualities of that the continuum, right? So where you can see there, right? Products high in search qualities are easiest to evaluate, which you find it in the left side of the continuum, and products high in experience qualities are more difficult to evaluate because they must be purchased and consumed before the assessment is possible. Right, so there is they required the confirmation of the customers, which you find at the center of the continuum. Products which are high in credence qualities are most difficult to evaluate, as I said, because these customer may be unaware or may lack sufficient knowledge to appraise whether offering satisfy given wants or needs even after the consumption. That's what you can see at the right end of the continuum. The major premises of this, you will find it right where we try to understand which products or the service falls where exactly, and based on that, right, so how we can design the strategies that key, because it's very difficult if we have the credence properties of the services. It's difficult for the customers to come back, right? So you need to give enough evidence or the enough proof to the customers. Maybe we may go there with considering the brand image. Maybe we go to the Columbia Asia Hospital, or we may go to the Apollo Hospital, or we may go to the any other hospitals, right? Which depends on the customers, the perception of the service which are available there. Fine. So this continuum will help us basically to understand, right? So what that we can do as we are selling the products, or products means it's the services. So here, after this, we'll try to see another important, the concept here. That's what we call this as, zone of tolerance. Every product will be having this, or every service will be having this. That zone of tolerance. Even we do have this zone of tolerance in our personal life and personal relationships, right? Every relationships we have the zone of tolerance for the behaviors, the things, whatever we do carry out. Now let us try to see what is this, the zone of tolerance. You can just see that slide. That's where you find it. Is the difference between what customer expects and what customer accepts. See, when we avail any services, right? So generally, we go for we have certain things in our mind, right? Maybe at times or the many times we will not be able to get the exactly what we are really expecting, but we get either we can't reject. Okay, it's very bad. It's like it's like you are very much delighted, and you say it's okay, right? You say that okay, must I, right? So I'm really happy. That's what you can say. What customer expects and what customer accepts might be. You might say, okay, chalta hai. It's not that good what I have expected, but okay, it's not so bad ki I can reject. That's what we say. The customer accepts. You can apply it to anything. You can apply it to anything, right? If you go to any restaurant, maybe you might find you expect certain amount of ambience, but when you enter the restaurant, maybe you may not find that kind of an ambience. But at the same time, you cannot reject ki it's so bad, right? That's the highest level is what expects. An acceptable level is what you accept. खाना उतना अच्छा नहीं बट कि ओके उतना खराब भी नहीं कि I just come out of the restaurant. That's the kind of the thing. That's what we say. Customer have the dual the expectations or any service that particularly they buy. This is what you can see in this slide. Very clearly said, what is the zone of tolerance? Zone of tolerance is the difference what the customer accepts between desired level of service and the adequate level of service. The variation. That's what I said, right? So you buy something. Right? Say for example you buy a TV. Maybe the service of that showroom is maybe you might expect him to they come within 1 hour and install and the TV and get the remote everything and start it. Okay, that's what your expectation might be. The service fellow may not come. He might come after 2 hours or 3 hours. Okay, you can say that, yeah, okay, chalta hai, right? So it is not up to what you were expecting. You were expecting prayerly the within a 1 hour of the the your buying time, but that fellow didn't turn up. He will turn up around 2 3 hours later. Fine, he will not reject it, right? So you say that okay, that's the adequate. Expected it 1 hour, right? Within 1 hour he has to be there. Adequate is maybe 3 hours. Say for example, if it didn't turn out even after 5 hours or half a day, morning you have bought a TV and till evening he didn't come to your the home or not even a single call. Then this is beyond something. That means this service is falling beyond these two levels what the customers are having. Right? In case of that, the TV installation, you might accept if he comes, within 3 hours or 4 hours. Maybe you might understand. Maybe he might be busy or having some other work and other things. And if you really come, along with your, the TV, or the moment you come to the home, right? So within 10 minutes, that installation engineer will be there in your home. Wow, it's really fantastic, isn't it? That's the desired level. You will be very happy. That means you will be delighted, right? That's what you can see there. Desired level is the level where I'm expecting to receive. That's what I said. There is an acceptance, expectation. Customer expectation is the desired service. Customer acceptance is adequate service. खाना उतना अच्छा नहीं है. You expect very good food, but I don't know. But the food is not that good. Is an adequate service, but you accept it. You eat it and come back. Right? That's what we say. The adequate service is the level of service where I am going to accept anything which is beyond. Either low, if any service organization which is delivering a services to you, which is below the adequate level of service, then obviously you may not accept it. Maybe you'll be ending up yourself as a unsatisfied customer. If their service is above the desired, right? So then you will be delighted. The thing is that, right, where customer will not notice, customer may not notice your service is the between these two levels of services. That's the between the desired level and the adequate level of services. I notice this generally, right? If the TV fella comes within 1 hour, maybe he comes around 1.5 hours or 2 hours, he installs and go. He says, "Oh, that's quite normal." Maybe I may not recognize and give that much of importance, or my attention will not be there. If he didn't turn up even after 4 hours or 5 hours of buying a TV, because I have a urgency of putting it and watching the channels. right? So then you will notice. Or if he comes along with you, right, by the time your TV has entered your room, behind that TV, installation person enters your home, then you will be really delighted, right? You will notice it, and you may say that that service provider is really good, right? So where the any service organization is trying to find out all the time, right, deliver the services in the zone of tolerance, but at times or maybe trying to delight the customers by delivering the services at the desired level, even more than that. So this you can see here, right? Adequate level of service is subjected to change, right? Not the desired level of service. The zone of tolerance separates these two levels. That's what we have been telling. And the zone of tolerance varies across customers and expands and contracts with the same customer. See there, right? So it varies with the customer, right? Zone of tolerance, and it also varies with what we are really, the buying. Say for example, it also varies within the industry also. Say for example, if I take the hotel, at hotel you find fast food restaurants, and you might find the the dining the restaurants, expensive restaurants, or you might find the ethnic restaurants, or you might find the airport restaurants. Customers will not have a same amount of zone of tolerance or the range of zone of tolerance for each of these hotels. That's within the industry. That is the subcategory within the industries, right? So where might be if you go to the very expensive restaurant or ethnic restaurants, your zone of tolerance is a bit less, right? You want, because you have been paid. You paid a huge amount, or the hefty amount, and your attitudes were different, your intentions were different. Then you will have a very less you know the tolerance, zone of tolerance. The similar thing, what is that? You can go to the fast food restaurants. What can I expect from the fast food restaurant? Fast food restaurant, I expect normally the quick, convenient, tasty, and clean, hygiene. These are the four things what I expect from the the fast food the outlets. I'll not expect any ambience, right? At least clean sitting and some minimum requirements. I don't expect the employees to wear gracious the dresses or the candlelight or very fantastic food, right? Really, I'm not the expecting in case of you know the fast food retail outlet. That's how it varies, right? That's how it varies. Even the industry also, or within the industry also, the categories. That's where you find the consumers are having different zone of tolerances for different types of the customers. And this zone of tolerance might be wide, or it might be narrow, right? If it falls below the minimum level, right, might be I'll be very much frustrated, right? I'll be, as I told, right, I'll be come out as a very much unsatisfied the customers, right? It might be wide or narrow, or it might change over the time, or it can vary among the individuals, or it might vary among the type of the product or the service. Say for example, you go to the beauty parlor, or you go to buy a jewelry, or you go to buy a cake, or you go to the fast food retail fast food outlet. Hope you are understanding, right? So how does this vary? Maybe when I go to buy a jewelry or beauty parlor, maybe I have ready to wait quite a bit the longer period, right? Or it might change over the time also, right? Say, for example, when we speak of the customers will be having a different range of zone of tolerance. Assume that you have gone to any organized retail outlet, like maybe Big Bazaar or the Reliance, right? So you buy a grocery and standing there in the waiting line. So normally you feel that 5 to 10 minutes might be the checkout time. They give, and the billing time. Suppose if that happens within 5 minutes, man, you will be delighted. If that goes beyond 10 minutes, say 15 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe you'll be so frustrated to wait in the queue. Maybe that's what we say, it is coming below the adequate level of service, right? So it is below the zone of tolerance, and you are, really frustrated, right? You can just see that different customers, have vary their zone of tolerance for the different service and the attributes, right? The customers are less likely to be tolerant about unreliable service than the service deficiencies, right? That means they are having a high expectation of the fine. That's where we find the zone of the tolerance. That's what we call, right? So every customer has hope. You apply this to your personal lives also, in the relationships also, right? So we have a zone of tolerance toward all the type of relationships, even with the parents or the friends or the neighbors or whatever it is, right? If it is beyond, right, sometimes you might be very very happy, delighted. That means something has happened, above your desired levels. Sometimes you might be very much upset because something might have happened below the adequate, the levels. So every customer has their zone of tolerances, compared with the products or the services we are speaking of here. So it varies with the time, it varies with the type of the product, right? It it is the difference between what customer expects and accepts. So another important aspect we'll try to study today is the service encounter, right? You all know what is the encounter, right? It's a meeting. When customer meets service providers, we call the encounter as happened, right? This encounter might happen through remote encounters, like something you buy on the online, something may you buy on the Amazon, Flipkart, Mintra, or any of the sites, remote encounters. Something might happen in case of, might happen over the phone. You may talk with the service providers, as you find it in the many of the products or the services, right? In case of telephones, telephone services, internet services, so many other things, right? Where you call and meet or talk to the service providers. That means the frontline executives. That's we call it as a phone encounters. Then the last one is face-to-face encounters. That means you are very much there. You are very much there in the service, the delivering system. You are very much there in the process, or you are really gone to the service outlet itself, right? You can just see there the first line. We call this as the moment of truth. That means, right, when the customer interacts with the service firm, right? So whatever that happens there creates the image and the reputation of the organization. That's the reason you find it, right? Remote encounters are more difficult to the convince, because nobody is talking with you, right? You need to have the perception. Say for example, you are buying something on the Amazon, right? So you have your own perception by reading their descriptions or looking into their reading or whatever it is. Whereas slightly better is the phone encounter, where to some extent you can convince the customers. The preferred one is the face-to-face encounters, where the customer himself interacts personally with the service provider, that's the frontline executives, right? So where you have more the time to convince and tell the customers. But it's not, we can't they sell our services only on remote and using the face-to-face encounters. We need to go for the remote encounters also, right? Phone encounters also. But that's the reason we say whatever that happens, that creates the image. Many times you turned out as unsatisfied customers, or you're not happy with the responses given by the company or the service provider over the phone. Might turn out, right? So this, when the customer meets or the interacts with the companies, right, it's a time for the service provider to build a trust in them, reinforce the quality, and obviously build the brand identity, and overall as a result of this you can build the image of the company and increase the customer loyalty, right? So these encounters will be designed very carefully by the service providers, that in what way, for what purpose the customers needs to be encountering our services with the remote form or in the phone form or in the face-to-face form, right? So this service encounters. Now I think you all know this, the dimensions of the service quality, right? So there are five dimensions: tangibles, right? Reliability, responsiveness, assurance, and empathy, right? On which we call them a cervical, the quality of the services, where we measure on this five, the dimensions. The tangibles is the appearance or the physical elements. That's what you can see. We speak of here the physical evidence, right? So the reliability depends on your performance, how basically you are interacting, reacting, delivering the services to the customers. Responsiveness, promptness, specifically in the service recovery stages or any inquiry stages for the customers, or during the process, how much are you considering them, right? That's what it says, in the form of promptness and helpfulness to the customers. Then assurance, that's the competence, courtesy, credibility, and security. That's what you are giving to your customers. Empathy is, something like, you provide, a good communication in understanding the customer, and where they can assess. They have the easy access to your services, where all the services will be evaluated on these five dimensions. That's what you can see there. In detail, I have said that in this slide. Reliability means maybe providing the services as we promise, right? Dependability for the customers in handling the problems. Maybe we try to provide the service right at the first time, and the first time and at promised time, right? The empathy, right? Most important one, right? So giving customers individual attention, care, that's what we show, and having the customer's best interest at the heart, right? So that's very important one. And employee who understands the needs of their customers. Tangibles, right, which you can see, visual appealing facilities what you have provided in your service firm. Employees who are having a very neat professional appearance, maybe visually appealing materials associated with the services. That's the reason you find, right? The physical evidence makes a lot of difference, especially in the credence properties, in the services which are having the credence properties. Right? How can I believe the hospital is good? How can I believe this, the salon is good? These are some evidences, tangibles I need to provide. Then maybe responsiveness, keeping customer informed when the services will be performed. Prompt service to the customers, or I'm always willing to help the customer, and I'm ready to respond to customer requests. Readiness, right? That's what issue. That's the in a nutshell we can say that we care for you, or we say that we are there for you. The last one you can see, assurance. Employees who can give the confidence to the customers, making customers feel safe in all their transactions, and employees who are courteous, and who have the knowledge to answer. You are courteous, you are all, everything is there, but you don't have a knowledge to answer the customer question. That also doesn't look nice. Fine. So these are the cervical, the attributes or service five dimensions, the service. Then the last part of this presentation, right? So the factors which influence the perception, the price, evidence of the service, service encounters. That's what we have discussed so far. The image. Evidence means physical evidence. Okay, there are some strategies what you can look in. For customer perception, right? So I can enhance the customer satisfaction through service encounters, reflect the evidence of service, then communicate and create the realistic image, and enhance the customer perception of quality and value through pricing. This is all, friends, what is there in the unit 1. So maybe in the next coming videos we'll go to the unit 2.